Hello and welcome to Spectrum TV News at 2. I am Francis Edet, coming to you live from Uyo, the capital city of Akwa Ibom State. Let's take a look at the headlines. President Buhari chairs Council of State meeting over Naira redesign. INEC says no extension of deadline for PVC collection. Plus, death toll tops 21,000 in Turkey-Syria quake. We will bring you details of these stories and more in a moment. Many thanks for staying with us. On our first report this afternoon is that President Muhammadu Buhari is currently chairing the National Council of State meeting to address the current upheaval regarding the Naira redesign and the currency swap. In attendance are the former Presidents Goodluck Jonathan, Yakubu Gowon and Abdul Salami Abubakar, as well as ex-President Olusegun Obasanjo, who attended virtually. Also present are the chambers of Vice President Professor Yemi Osinbajo, the President of the Senate Ahmed Lawan, Speaker of the House of Representatives Femi Gbajabiamila, the Minister of the FCT Mohammed Bello, Secretary to the Government of the Federation Bas Mustapha, Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice Abubakar Malami, and the Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN Godwin Emefiele, among others. Also attended the meeting. The INEC chairman, Mahmood Yakubu, is physically in attendance and is expected to brief the council on the preparations ahead of the 2023 general elections. Away from that, the federal government has commenced the deployment of security agencies to filling stations across the country to enforce the use of point-of-sale POS machines and the acceptance of bank transfers at the various outlets. The government's directive to marketers came through the Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority. In a statement issued in Abuja by the agency's General Manager, Corporate Communications and Stakeholders Management, Kimchi Apollo. According to the statement, the government vowed to deal with oil marketers who reject POS machines or bank transfers from customers, stressing that the move became vital following reports that some filling stations were culpable as regards this development, despite the severe cash crunch nationwide. Meanwhile, the federal government has approved 67 new broadcast licenses for radio and television stations across the country. The Director General of the National Broadcasting Commission, Balarabe Ilela, disclosed that 302 broadcast stations breached the National Broadcasting Commission NBC code in the last 2 years. Ilela called on broadcasters to continue to abide by the NBC Act, the Nigeria Broadcasting Code, the Electoral Act, and other extant law that guide media oppression to ensure that the general elections are free, fair, and credible. The Commission said it had deployed all the technical and operational facilities for the monitoring of the forthcoming general elections. On electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission INEC has insisted there will not be another extension of the deadline for the collection of permanent voter cards (PVCs) before the general elections. The Commission said it needs to move its staff away from the issuance of PVCs to other sectors that need attention ahead of the elections. In an interview, the INEC National Commissioner and Chairman of Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye, disclosed that the Commission will gather uncollected PVCs and deposit them at the Central Bank of Nigeria CBN until after the 2023 elections. Still on electoral matters, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has solicited the support of the Nigerian Bar Association in handling its numerous pre-electoral cases in courts across the country. The INEC chairman, Mahmood Yakubu, made the call when he hosted delegations of the Nigerian Bar Association led by its president, Yakubu Michael, at the Commission's headquarters in Abuja. Yakubu said that INEC had been joining 1,241 intra-party lawsuits in different courts of law as of February 6, not on elections conducted by INEC, but on primaries conducted by political parties for the nomination of candidates for the 2023 general elections. He added that some of the cases had gone to the Federal High Court, while some were before the Court of Appeal and others were before the Supreme Court. The INEC chairman requested the support of the NBA in handling some of the cases, particularly pro bono service to the nation.
On the 16th of July 2022, one of the things that I said in my inaugural speech is that we are going into the election year. And there is one thing that we owe Nigerians as members of the legal profession, either serving on the bench or at the bar, is sincere participation in the electoral process, as we are called upon to participate in the pre-election and post-election disputes, because those matters will certainly come before the courts, and it is our lot, it is our responsibility to participate in that process, in the resolution of these disputes one way or the other. We can only help this nation provide direction and advance the cause of this nation if we do that honestly and sincerely in the interpretation of the laws and the implementation of those laws to the disputes that will come to the courts. And so, sir, we are here to say to you that the Nigerian Bar Association is solidly behind INEC, solidly behind your administration. And we will not allow anything that will taint this process as far as NBA is concerned.
In a separate development, the Office of the National Security Advisor (NSA) has expressed fears that recent policies introduced by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) may frustrate military operations if not properly executed. The National Security Advisor Babagana Mongono made this known while appearing before the House Ad Hoc Committee on the CBN's cashless policy and to extend the time frame of the currency swap in Abuja. A security advisor who was represented by Abubakar Mustafa stated that due to the sensitivity of some of the information bordering on security and the CBN's cashless policy, the agency will face difficulty in paying officers on the battlefield. Meanwhile, Nigerians and bank customers are gripped with confusion and uncertainty over today's deadline by the Central Bank of Nigeria (CBN) for the phasing out of the old Naira notes. They're unsure if the deadline still remains or has been suspended following the Supreme Court injunction obtained by some northern governors. Recall that the Supreme Court had ruled that the deadline should be suspended pending the determination of the case brought before it by the governors of Kaduna, Kogi and Zamfara states. The court has also fixed February 15 to entertain the case. Meanwhile, the Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Abubakar Malami, in response to the suit said the Supreme Court lacked jurisdiction on the matter. In another development, the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria have lamented the rate at which the country is losing its professional nurses and midwives to foreign countries. The council disclosed that over 14,000 nurses had left Nigeria for greener pastures in many countries across the world. Secretary General and Registrar of the Council, Dr. Farouk Abubakar, disclosed this at the opening of a retreat for top management of the Nursing and Midwifery Council of Nigeria in Akure, the Ondo State capital. He noted that part of the strategies to curb the migration of nurses in the country is to increase the admission quota in schools, grant approval for the establishment of more colleges of nursing, and accredit nursing departments in eligible universities in the country. We move to Africa, where East African Community (EAC) leaders have been urged to fast-track the deployment of additional troops in the regional force deployed to Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo. Former Kenyan President Uhuru Kenyatta, a mediator for the East African Community (EAC), says more troops need to take up positions in areas where armed groups have been withdrawn. Kenyatta expressed concern over the deteriorating security situation in North Kivu province, where M23 rebels have clashed with security forces in recent weeks. Still in Africa, the European Union ambassador to Rwanda has reportedly announced €22 million in renewed funding till 2026 in support of the country's hosting of refugees transferred from Libya. In 2019, Rwanda signed an agreement with the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, UNHCR, to evacuate refugees and asylum seekers in need of international protection from Libya to Rwanda. Since September 2019, the UNHCR has evacuated about 1,500 refugees and asylum seekers from Libya. Meanwhile, more than 900 have since left Rwanda to resettle in other countries, the majority in European Union countries including Sweden, France, Belgium, and Finland. On the foreign scene, Ukrainian Air Force says Russian forces struck Ukraine's southern Zaporizhzhia city and the northeastern Kharkiv region with dozens of missiles. The Air Force said on its Facebook page that Russia attacked Kharkiv region and Zaporizhzhia region with up to 35 S-300 surface-to-air missiles that cannot be destroyed in the air with air defense. The agency added that Russian forces also fired C-300 surface-to-air missiles from across the border in Belgorod and from the occupied city of Tomsk in southern Ukraine. Still on the foreign scene, at least 21,000 people have been reportedly killed in Turkey and Syria earthquake, and rescuers are still in search for survivors as the United States offered an $85 million aid package. The first UN aid deliveries arrived in Syria rebel-held zones, but chances of finding survivors have dimmed since the passing of the three-day mark that experts considered a critical period to save lives. Meanwhile, the U.S. Agency for International Development, in a statement, said its aid package will go to partners on the ground to deliver urgently needed aid for millions of people, including food, shelter, and emergency health services. It will also support safe drinking water and sanitation to prevent the outbreak of diseases. Still to come in the news, Chelsea makes Osimhen top target in 2023 summer window. Do stay with us.
Every day, we bring you up-to-date information on topical issues affecting the common Nigerian. From issues on politics,
hello Nigeria, I remain committed.
Security, education, health, lifestyle, and so much more. Join Janice Kobum and Uyai Anyeken every weekday from 7 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Rise and Shine Daily, exclusive on Spectrum Television.
Many thanks for staying with us. We move now to the rest of the news stories. On the business news, Naira scarcity caused by the Central Bank of Nigeria's redesign and cash withdrawal policy has pushed point of sales transactions to 807.16 billion naira in January 2023. According to new data from the Nigeria Interbank Settlement System, total cashless transactions in Nigeria rose by 45.41% to 39.58 trillion naira in January 2023. Recall that in 2022, the CBN had announced a Naira redesign policy withdrawal limits and encouraged Nigerians to adopt electronic forms of transactions. Meanwhile, the CBN said that the maximum weekly limit for cash withdrawals across all channels by individuals and corporate organizations shall be 500,000, 5 million, and 500,000 respectively. Still on business, the Deputy Minister for Overseas Koreans and Consular Affairs Republic of Korea, Cho In-young, has described Nigeria as the gateway to unlocking the potentials of the African continent's blue economy. Cho In-young stated this during a courtesy call on Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency (NIMESA) in Lagos, led by the Korean ambassador to Nigeria, Kim Young. He commended the sustained and improved security situation in the Gulf of Guinea with the strong presence of Nigeria, adding that the Korean government looks forward to continued support from the Nigerian government in the area of intelligence and information sharing. A deputy minister added that Korea is a foremost maritime country with highly recognized capacity in the areas of shipbuilding and ship repairs, noting that Nigeria is willing to partner Korea in shipbuilding for the short, medium, and long-term benefits of both countries. In held, the Nigerian Economic Summit Group and ESG have signed a memorandum of understanding with the United Nations Children's Fund to address the menace surrounding poverty and rights violations among children in Nigeria. The partnership, which was officially signed at the launch of the NESG UNICEF MOU and partnership to tackle child rights infringement and poverty in Abuja, will receive support from the federal government. Speaking of the partnership, the group chairman, Niyi Yusuf, said that children remain a vital part of the mandate of the group and believe that urgent action is required to ensure that they do the right thing to promote the development of Nigerian children. He added that Nigerian children represent the asset of the country, stressing that it is important that they invest and plan to ensure that these children will become the leaders of tomorrow. Still in health, the federal government has said it is determined to eradicate the circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2 in 2023. The federal government also said 96% of the local government areas in the country have achieved 100% in the outbreak response against the circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2. Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Schweib, said this at the Northern Traditional Leaders Committee on Primary Healthcare Development Delivery Review meeting held in Abuja. He said the lower the population immunity, the longer these viruses survive, and the longer they survive, the more they replicate, change, and exchange genetic material with other extra virus as they spread through the community. In sports, Morocco's Royal Football Federation has confirmed that the 2023 Africa Cup of Nations qualifier between Nigeria and Guinea-Bissau is set to be played in Morocco. The Super Eagles will be facing the Indigetus twice later in March, and victories in the games will see the three-time Africa champions pick the ticket to Ivory Coast next year. Nigeria currently topped their Group A with 6 points following wins over Sierra Leone in Nigeria before thrashing Sao Tome and Principe 10-0 away from home. Nigeria will be hosting Guinea-Bissau at the Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja, or the Godswill Akpabio Stadium, Uyo, on March 20th, before traveling to Morocco for the reverse fixture 1 week later. Still in sports, Chelsea have identified Napoli striker Victor Osimhen as their primary striker target for the 2023 summer window. According to reports, Chelsea's scout had been instructed to step up their reporting on Osimhen, and having spearheaded Napoli's Serie A title charge with 16 goals in 17 games. The 24-year-old, who has established himself as Chelsea's top target, has 2 years remaining on his contract with Napoli. Meanwhile, Napoli president Aurelio De Laurentiis has fired a warning to Osimhen's suitors, insisting the striker is not for sale. On our entertainment news, Hogwarts Legacy, a major video game adaptation of the Wizarding World created by J.K. Rowling, has arrived following a fierce online debate. The game had broken records for the number of people watching streamers playing preview copies. At one point, it's reported that 1.3 million people were watching content related to the game on Twitch. Meanwhile, viewers are calling for a boycott due to Rowling's public comments on issues about transgender people. While some have pushed back against the boycott, arguing that choosing to play the game does not automatically mean they support the author's statements. Despite the controversy, it is predicted by some viewers to be the biggest selling premium release of 2023. Still on entertainment, Nollywood movie legend Nkem, or popularly known as Sophia, has described Nigerian movie stories as far better than that of their Bollywood and Hollywood counterparts. Sophia made the remark in an interview in Enugu State. According to him, Nigerian movies present real-life stories and happenings around them, noting that it is wrong to compare the quality of Nigerian films with those coming from the advanced countries. He said that Nigerian film producers were only using technology imported from such advanced countries to improve their movies. The actor called for patience among upcoming actors, saying they should follow their progress gradually. And that's all we have for you at this time. Do ensure to follow us on social media and subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You've been watching Spectrum News at 2. I am Francis Edet. Many thanks for watching, and have a lovely day.